Seeking Vibrant Health. It's Dr. Rachel Northern here in John's Chiropractic and Wellness Center in Johnsburg, Illinois. Today I'm doing a topic on social hurts, a little play on words about, the hidden stresses affecting your spine every day, and like just what we're doing socially, what we're doing out and about, and what hurts. So this is the time I have patients come in and go, what did I do to myself? So these are some things that might be triggering your pain and discomfort. I'm actually coming here today with confession. I'm human, and I did some of these social hurts myself. I have repetitive things I do in the office. I have a table that goes up and down. So like last year, I always use the right leg in order to push that pedal multiple times a day. And last year, my right knee was starting to hurt. So I was like, oh, maybe I should switch it up and go back and forth between using the right foot and the left foot, and that made it feel better. And then I use a lot of my right hand dominant when I adjust. And a couple years ago, I was having problems there. And then today, I have a little pain myself from, actually went away and did some charity work, and I adjusted people that were doing a charity project called the Soldier Journey Home. We build a home for a disabled veteran, but I don't build. I set up my portable table, which is pretty low, and I adjusted the volunteers. And that repetitive movement of bending over, I ended up hurting myself. So we're going to talk about some of these things on our talk today. So I'm, just like you, I'm human. My body can have problems, and now I know that process of how chiropractic also can help, because it's amazing how a couple adjustments help. But we're going to talk about that at the end. So right here, what is a social hurt? So again, those everyday activities that you repeat, like repetitive stress. So most people know you get in a car accident or you fall off a ladder or something like that. That's a big trauma. That's a big injury, or like you expect maybe some damage or a broken arm or maybe sprained strain. But we don't think about these little tiny things that we're doing possibly every day or a couple of times a week that can accumulate on our spine and our joints. So, why does it matter? Because all these, like I said, all these little tiny micro stresses will accumulate over time, and then they can cause limb dysfunction, inflammation, sprain strain on the ligaments and tendons, and then things don't work properly. So I talk to people about, sometimes you have those pens. I should grab one. Those pens with the pen cap, and it's got that little tail, and you can just kind of pull it real hard and break it, or you could just keep kind of pulling on it. Eventually that wears down and it starts to bend and break. So that's kind of things with those little repetitive injuries that they accumulate. So one's like housework. So this is sometimes when people go, why am I hurting, Dr. Rachel? I'm like, well, what do you do on your daily basis at home? Maybe you're a homemaker, or maybe you do clean houses for a living. And that bending, actually, and rotation is actually the worst part on our low back. That's like the worst stress too, especially if we load things. So for those construction workers that are picking things up and twisting, that's not really good for your lumbar spine. So making sure you're just using your hips to twist. Again, that everybody talks about bending at the knees when you pick up things. So that repetitive knocking. I've had a lot of people actually injure themselves with the top loaders of washing machines, where maybe they're twisting and reaching low to get that sock that's stuck at the bottom, and all of a sudden they pull their back, or they have a rib that kind of gets a little bit moved, that gets irritated. So I've had patients come in with that. So a lot of times I tell them, I give them get out a prescription of, no mopping and no sweeping today, to put that on somebody else in the household until they kind of heal a little bit. Gardening, I actually was doing a little bit of trimming my rose bush today, and I was already hurting, and then I was like, oh, I should have done that. But it's so hard because you see it out there. I have lots of patients go, but Dr. Rachel, I love my yard, and that's great, but pay attention. I tell a lot of these people, pay attention to your biomechanics again, how you're positioning your body. If you have some of those garden seats that I have now, they have those little pads you can put down to kneel. Try to just get little resources to help you. And then also I tell people this big thing I tell patients all the time: take breaks. Set a timer on your phone, because you get so busy in a task. I do that myself. Get busy in a task, and the next thing you know, it's 2 or 3 hours go by that you're doing these repetitive motions, and then later on your body's hey, that was fun. Or sometimes it's the next day it sneaks up on you. And this is from the dog tracing a squirrel or something and yank their shoulder out or, twist their back. So just, again, paying attention to your things. Obviously you can't have that dog. You should make sure that maybe get some dog training, make sure they're a little bit more responsible, or get those little like extender leashes that like kind of doesn't jerk you right away, give you a little pull before you can fire, get that in and be more controlled. But I've had people who hurt their necks that way, hurt their shoulders that way, hold their back. So just even walking the dog sometimes can cause stress. And then everybody knows about TechNet now. Are you working first off in your desk environment? We've talked about the ergonomics, so making sure your computer monitor. We've talked about maybe making sure you have like maybe the sit-stand desk so you can not always sit all the time and bring it up. There's actually treadmill desks you can get nowadays if you're maybe working from home and you can have that option. So there's a lot of ways to try to help you with the computer work. And then also, like we are all nowadays on those phones or those tablets or those iPads. And we're starting, unfortunately, so young. I'm seeing the little kids like looking down like this, at 18 months old, sometimes 2 years old. So I just tell people try to have it up, just try to put it up and make sure it's more eye level, that you're not going like that. And that also makes you, try not to be on it as much. So pay attention to how many hours you're spending on your phone. I have on my phone, once a week it tells me like hourly, like how much hours I spend on my phone a day. On average, I generally average only like 1.5 hours, and half the time that's just me probably doing these videos and things. So pay attention to that. If you're doing more than like 2 hours a day on your phone, that's not good, okay? So that's a thing of trying to maybe do some fast, technology fast, get that way and see how your neck feels. And also I give exercises, some isometric exercises to my patients to kind of reverse that and try to make sure they're working on their back muscles. So that's just those repetitive motions. And then the grocery shopping. I am one of those people, I try to be as efficient as possible. I'm definitely like the bag lady, and I try to grab as much things, and unfortunately a lot of times that doesn't work, so then one falls and then something breaks, and I'm like, I should have just did more trips. So try it again, it's okay to do multiple trips and not be taking all these things at once. I understand those people that are in apartments and they're like, they don't want to do that because that's a lot of stairs to take, or the elevator or whatever, it's just too much. So just kind of being wise on how you carry your groceries, pack your groceries, because that added lifting is awkward angles and things, that's something to think about. That might be one of the things when a person comes in and go, I don't know why I do this, and sometimes that's something on the top of the mind, is just carrying groceries in. I know I have a couple patients that have confessed, it was the second case of water that they grabbed out of their trunk. So those kind of things, especially if you're not used to lifting every day or those amount of weights. So right now we're going into summer here in the office, and so everybody's coming out of hibernation, and they're doing pickleball, and they're doing these different recreational things. They're doing volleyball, outdoor volleyball. So I get those little things. You've not maybe moved those muscles or did those things. So kind of gear up, especially if you're going on like a rec league where you're just playing once a week and you're not warming up, you're not practicing. That's definitely can cause some issues and cause some pain or discomfort. We have a lot of people starting the water, skiing again. I had a patient actually yesterday go, water skiing. Those woke up those muscles I forgot about. So definitely there, snow skiing in the wintertime, boating, just sitting in the boat and just those repetitive bouncing. I've had people that's, jammed their tailbone or jammed their low back. So, those kind of things maybe you're not thinking about that can cause stress. And the kids, we got the mama hip. Usually most people are right-handed traditionally, and we got the kid usually is on this hip. I have more and more grandparents watching their grandchildren and older ages, grand moms and dads, and they come back and they're, Dr. Rachel, the grandkids, they did me in. So just watching the kids, and they're just not used to being that active with them like the mom and dads are, and they're not, it takes a little bit more to do. So lifting the kids, kind of talk to them about seeing different ways of helping them without having to carry the babies. we talked about already, sitting, driving, you know, so driving, I tell people, make sure, like, when you get in the car, maybe lift your butt up and make sure your butt cheeks are, like, level and you're not kind of cocked a little bit. Sometimes they're a little cocked. And then make sure, like, where your seat is, that you're not reaching for one of the, you know, like that gas pedal, and, like, you might be off on your pelvis. And if you're driving an hour commute or more, that's going to cock your pelvis off for that time, so that longevity is going to cause pain and problems over a period of time. There are some kind of seats you can get that have like cushions, like balance cushions that you can put into your car if you'd like to kind of keep the pelvis moving. So look into that. There's also, so here's some warning signs. So if you have any stiffness or aches that last more than like 2 or 3 days, and if you're having to constantly take an over-the-counter medication to alleviate these aches and pains, that's not good. If you look on any of those over-the-counter pain relievers, it says if you're taking it more than like 7 to 10 days, you need to consult a physician, because those are not meant to be taken long-term. They cause side effects. They're not good. Even though you can buy them freely from the store, doesn't mean that they're safe and healthy to take long-term. So if you have these things, fatigue, headaches, just restrictions on certain body parts that are just like wasn't before, you know, then it's time to maybe contact a professional, see a chiropractor, you know, those different people. Massage therapy I love, that helps to break up some muscles and adhesions. Other things like I talked about, just making sure you do exercise regularly, even if you're just doing walks, but making sure to stretch. There's tons of research talking about flexibility and longevity. So just making like these daily stretches. I have a couple of patients that are in their 80s, and they're very good. They're very mobile, and that's because they've been doing stretching routines since their like 20s and 30s, and they have this little basic little stretches they do almost every day, and it definitely pays off in senior years. If you're starting now, it's a great time. Anytime you can start at any point to improve your health. So even if you're in your 50s, start stretching now. Start doing these little things, because those working on your posture, again, you can do that anytime. Making sure that you have proper biomechanics. Obviously, this is a picture of me adjusting something with a shoulder that something was going on with their shoulder. But what I do is trying to make sure we restore that proper alignment, take the tension off the nervous system, and make sure everything's communicating and moving effectively and optimally. And overall, that reduces inflammation, it reduces pain, it just lets everything work better. So, if you want more information, I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel. If you want to go there, it's Rachel Northern DC, CACCP. Subscribe if you want, and you can get my new ones. Our website is thedoctorandYou.com if you are local and you want to kind of come into the practice and become a patient, or if you have any more information, you can always contact us through the website. And I do have a book I published several years ago called The Journey to Vibrant Health, just a lot of my advice that I put in a book, and it is on Amazon. So thanks for joining me today.